Greetings and welcome to the supplemental video on From Nixon to Reagan. This one concerns Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford is the first president to be appointed to the office, succeeded Nixon. Gerald Ford's unique among the 44 in that he was never elected to the presidency nor elected to the vice presidency. He got there via the 25th Amendment. First, Nixon's first vice president, Spiro Agnew, had to resign the office in 1973 because of fraud charges in Maryland. Thus, Nixon, per 25th Amendment, nominated Ford to be vice president. Then, when Nixon resigned in August of 74, Ford became president again by the 25th Amendment. On September 8, 1974, Gerald Ford pardoned Nixon of any crimes concerning the Watergate scandal. The nation was outraged. This single act probably cost Ford and the Republicans the 1976 presidential election. It also did not help Ford's administration that things just got worse. Ford believed that the federal government exercised too much power over domestic affairs. He vetoed 39 bills sent to him by Congress, including bills to reduce taxes, which is surprising considering any Republican would want to reduce taxes, and he also vetoed bills that would increase federal spending. He didn't want to have his cake or eat it either. These acts only plunged the nation into its deepest recession since the Great Depression. Unemployment climbed to 9% in 1975, and the federal deficit reached a record next year. Ford's solution to these problems was voluntary wage and price controls, bolstered by big red buttons that said "Whip inflation now," or, as shown on your review sheet, "Just win." These buttons became a national joke and a symbol of Ford's ineffectiveness in the fight against stagflation. On a new program that debuted in September 1975, Saturday Night Live, an up till that point unknown actor named Chevy Chase made his entire career out of lampooning Ford and his clumsiness. Poor Gerald Ford. All he had to do was fall down a set of airplane steps once, and then Chevy Chase, parodying him, started falling off of Christmas trees, steps, orchestra pits, you name it. In fact, Chevy Chase fell down in a skit involving the president himself. Ford, in foreign affairs, had limited success as well. Ford met with Brezhnev in 1974, and the two worked out an agreement that became SALT II. Meanwhile, Henry Kissinger brought Egypt and Israel back to the negotiating table rather than fighting yet another week-long war. But this fight against communism dampened Ford's efforts, and it's under Ford's watch that South Vietnam falls to Northern forces. Next door to South Vietnam, Cambodia, it fell to the Khmer Rouge. It went communist as well. Then there's Ford's decision to send the Marines to rescue the American merchant ship Mayaguez. That proved futile when the communists freed the sailors before Ford took action. This resulted in 41 deaths. With the distrust of Nixon, this is the result of Watergate, and then the ineptitude of Ford, it was like 1932 all over again for the Democrats. It doesn't really matter that Ford's renominated, he's not going to win. The Democrats almost go out of their way to prove this, because their nominee for president in 1976 is Governor James E. Jimmy Carter, the governor of Georgia. Carter's nominated mostly because he doesn't live inside the Beltway. He's not connected to Watergate, and he has an experience with Washington politics. That seems to be an asset in 1976. Carter revived the New Deal coalition of Southern whites, blacks, urban labor groups, and ethnic groups. The new voters were pushed back to the side. Gerald Ford managed to get the Republican nomination, despite a strong challenge from former California governor and Hollywood actor Ronald Reagan. Carter narrowly defeated Ford in Electoral College and only had a 2 million vote lead in the popular vote. The real winner, if it could be considered, was the none of the above vote, as most voters decided to stay home on Election Day. Now, this reflected the true issue of the election of 1976, the election of the bicentennial, distrust in politicians altogether. One reporter commented during this campaign, neither Mr. Ford or Mr. Carter won as many votes as Mr. Nobody. Thank you for watching this video on Gerald Ford. Your next supplemental video will be on James E. Jimmy Carter and his domestic policies. Thank you again, and may the force be with you on your next exam.